Brad Smith, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
I want to let our viewers know a little bit about you. You're the president and vice chair of Microsoft, based headquartered in Redmond, Washington. You've been with the company 31 years, and the New York Times has called you the de facto ambassador for the technology industry at large. And you're here at the annual Cascadia Innovation Corridor Conference in Portland this year, 7th year that it's been held in Portland this year. What is the overall vision of the corridor? How does Oregon fit into the picture, and why are you so passionate about it? Because I can tell you're very passionate about this project.
I actually am and have been since the inception. It's really about building connections from Vancouver to Seattle to Portland and everywhere in between, so that we can work more effectively together to create jobs, to drive innovation, to bring together work among our universities, to improve transportation and address climate. And interestingly, when it started 7 years ago, it was just Vancouver, BC, and Seattle getting together. And people in Portland said, wait a second, what about us? And I still remember when that voice was heard, and we said, you know, you're right. This is a corridor that absolutely connects Portland, connects to Portland, connects the people of this region with the region as a whole.
So the idea is this to come together by 2035, so only about 10 years away. How is it getting funded? Who's paying for this?
Well, interestingly, this has been a classic private-public partnership. A lot of it has been fueled by people in the business community up and down this corridor. Nonprofits have been involved, and the state governments, Oregon, Washington, the provincial government for British Columbia, they've all been involved. And as time has gone by, I think what we've most discovered is that we have a lot more in common than any of us knew. And there's a lot more we can accomplish by working together. You come here, you look at the university here, you look at the important research in fields like healthcare. And then you look at what's happening in Seattle, what's happening in BC, and you realize, wow, we can even do more if we are connecting these folks. And that's just one of the examples that we've learned from and have really pursued over the last 5 to 7 years.
And you talk a lot about the opportunities that this corridor presents, but also the challenges. And one of the biggest challenges and the problem of our time is housing and affordable housing, workforce housing. We heard a lot about it during the presidential campaign. It's the #1 priority for Oregon Governor Tina Kotek. It's the focus of this conference. How do you see housing and workforce housing really being integral to the goals of the corridor?
Well, it's fascinating because it is such a common challenge. If you look at the 50 states in the United States, Washington is dead last in terms of having adequate affordable housing. Oregon is 49th out of 50, and then British Columbia is low across Canada. And so you start by asking why, and I think part of the reason is because these are beautiful places to live, people have moved, but we haven't kept pace. In all three places, we failed to zone and create more land for more multi-unit homes. We've failed to speed up permitting processes. We've really failed to find innovative financing that's needed to build lower cost, more affordable housing. I think Governor Kotek has really taken the lead here in Oregon. We're looking to the new governor in Washington State, Bob Ferguson, to, I hope, take some of the pages out of her playbook. There are more things we can do together, and we can put technology to work. It's interesting because at one level, housing feels very local. But when you see the common problem up and down this corridor, you see the problems we share, and then you even see common solutions like high-speed rail that, if we built it together, would make it possible for people to, say, live farther away from a job, and that too would open the door to more affordable housing.
I want to talk about high-speed rail a little bit later, but you talk about the growth, and we're sort of the product, the problem is the product of our success. And as Microsoft's success grew, you saw growth explode in the Puget Sound area, and you realized you need more housing. Microsoft committed hundreds of millions of dollars to building more housing. Have you been able to meet the need? How successful have you been in that?
I think we have worked hard, learned a lot, championed new initiatives, and have had limited success. We put $750 million of the company's money into just helping to build more affordable housing, not for our employees, but for nurses and for police officers and teachers and the like. And we started this in 2019, so we've had 5 years of experience. It has added 12,000 units of housing to Puget Sound. That's good. It's less than what I hoped when we started 5 years ago. And I think fundamentally what we have found is money is critical, but money actually isn't the biggest bottleneck. We need more land. We need the land of, say, look at a strip mall or look at a big box retailer that might not even be open anymore. It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't have the land on which to build, you can't build more housing. Let's look at the kinds of space that is no longer being used the way it was 10 or 20 years ago, rezone that, then use the money to attract, say, lower cost housing to that land, speed up permitting processes. That is, I think, the winning recipe. That is what we found, it's what we've learned, and I think it's what we all need to focus on following in terms of a plan for the future.
Portland City Commissioner Carmen Rubio spoke here at the conference, and she really has talked about streamlining, how she streamlined permitting. Do you also see a role for AI, artificial intelligence, in that permitting process?
Absolutely. This is a problem globally. I travel the world in my job, and every country I go to, there's a backlog of permit applications, and permitting is too slow. And it's true not only for housing, it's true for, say, somebody who is constructing a wind turbine. In Europe, it takes 1 year to build the wind turbine. It takes 3 years to get the permit approved to build it. So you realize that we basically have processes that have not kept pace with the needs of modern day society. AI can be used to speed up many aspects of the process, to analyze a permitting application, to compare it to, say, the specification in the building code, to help the people who work in permitting offices to analyze it more quickly and then interact with the people that they should be having time to interact with, but they don't have time today because the backlog is so steep.
Well, you have said that artificial intelligence is already playing a role in our daily lives and how we work, and you call this the new AI economy. Tell us what jobs are being created in our region and how Microsoft is trying to make sure they don't actually displace jobs and take jobs away.
Well, the interesting thing is people start by sort of the obvious. Oh, there's these new technologies. There are the people who are creating the technologies. Many of them work at a company like Microsoft or an Intel and the like, the chips, the AI models, the AI applications. That's the starting point. But the jobs that are going to be most common are going to be the jobs of people who put the technology to use. Think of any business under the sun. Think of a city government. As they use AI, they will need people with the capability to help build their systems, to maintain them, and frankly, in some ways, most importantly, train other people so we can all learn to use it. You think about jobs that are, I don't think, ever going to be displaced. I certainly hope they won't. School teachers. But think about the job of a teacher today in terms of having to prepare a lesson plan. With AI, they can take a lesson plan and turn it into a PowerPoint presentation in about 60 seconds and then get ready for the next day of class. They can use AI to say, great, if it's a math quiz, a human just is checking every answer. AI can do that. So a lot of what we're finding is that AI is a tool that, if deployed well, can help people do better what they most love to do. Most teachers that I have met did not choose teaching because they wanted to grade exams or prepare lesson plans. They wanted to spend time with kids. And if AI can help them spend more of their time with kids, that to me is one of the great kinds of use cases we can pursue.
And to take advantage of this new AI economy, you're going to need a skilled AI workforce. So talk to us a little bit about how the corridor can help in that, connecting universities, community colleges, maybe elementary and secondary schools.
I think there's two things to think about. One is there's a lot of professions that will be reshaped and will become much more clearly grounded in AI skills. And the most classic examples are sort of the future of computer science, engineers and the like that work with software. Another is the people who will need to guide organizations and then use AI to change the way that their organization works. But then there's all of us. I mean, it's interesting today. I started in a law firm about 35, almost 40 years ago as the first person in that law firm to use a personal computer, a PC. I had to learn. I had manuals I had to read. Now we just take it for granted. We all learn these things. But we're all going to have this opportunity and even need to sort of learn anew how to use AI in our lives. That's one of the things we're focused on at Microsoft. And I think employers are going to want to and are going to need to invest a little bit more in not just making AI available to their employees, but helping people learn how to use them. The good news, in my view, it's actually fun. It's not that hard. People do need some training. Increasingly, it'll be available online. And as you experiment with it, you realize that you can pursue your curiosity. You have a question, you can answer it more quickly. It takes less time than, say, the use of a search engine. And once you answer one question, you can ask another. And so I personally think it is actually a wonderful tool when used well, if we make it broadly accessible and help everyone learn how to use it.
And you have a dream of this corridor becoming the Silicon Valley of health. So how is it going to connect institutions like, let's say, the Knight Cancer Institute at OHSU in helping cure cancer? Do you think that that's a possibility?
Absolutely. I mean, first, we should reflect on the fact that between that center and the Fred Hutch Cancer Research Institute in Seattle and what's called BC Cancer in Vancouver, BC, you have three extraordinarily capable, important, world-class cancer institutes. AI already is being used for drug discovery. With personalized medicine, with genomic data sets, with new abilities to use AI to pull together a data set, test something, it should vastly accelerate our ability to make even more progress in treating and curing cancer. And if we do this well and we take advantage of our connections with each other, Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, we should play a role in leading the world. And I think that's our future. That's the kind of thing, that's why I am excited about what I see when I come to a conference like this.
That is very exciting. And when you talk about the corridor and creating more jobs, you're going to need transportation to connect all these people. And you know from Seattle, I know from Portland how bad the traffic is. And people look around the world and see the rest of the world has this ultra high-speed rail. It's been something I've heard talked about here for many years. Is it just a dream, a vision, or is there a concrete plan with a timeline for the ultra high-speed rail in this region?
I think for this region, it is a dream that is now being pursued with a real plan that I hope and believe will become our reality. The first thing I often think we should think about is, look, the rest of the world can do this. They have great airports, they have great ports, they have great roads, and they have high-speed rail. We can do it too. I think it started as a vision in the last decade. It started with some initial feasibility funding. 4 institutions put $250,000 into it each. The legislature of Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, and Microsoft Corporation. That's how we got it going. But it's now got backing from Washington, D.C. in terms of the infrastructure bill. We will see funding out of the Department of Transportation. There is much more advanced planning. In the next few years, we'll have to go from, say, where we are today to really mapping out exactly where the rail line would go, exactly how we'll fund and manage that construction and operate that. But look, the future I think we should all pursue is one where somebody can get on a train in Portland and get off the train in Seattle in less than an hour, even after 2 or 3 stops.
That'd be amazing.
Exactly. Imagine what that does for people. People can work in one place, live in another. People can go to business in the other place. People can go to a sporting event. There will be basketball fans that will come to Portland. There are baseball fans that will go to Seattle. It can connect us in ways that are just not feasible today. Everyone I know who lives in Seattle enjoys coming to Portland. What they don't enjoy is the traffic.
And vice versa.
Exactly, especially when you have the uncertainty. Well, this could be a 3-hour drive, or maybe it's going to be a 6-hour drive. I don't know. I won't know until it's over. we can change all of that. And I believe we have the pieces coming together. We have the support from Washington, D.C. We have the support from Governor Kotick and other leaders up and down this corridor. I think we just have to resolve we can do this, and we're committed to making it happen.
I know a lot of people hope so. We're almost out of time, but I just have to ask you about something really exciting you just unveiled in conjunction with the Vatican's Jubilee year in 2025. It's a digital twin of St. Peter's Basilica. Tell us a little bit about that and the significance of that.
It's been a wonderful project, and I was at the Vatican, and we unveiled it with Pope Francis last week. We spent 2 years to basically have a team take 400,000 photographs, high-resolution photographs, of every aspect of the basilica, inside and out. And you have these extraordinary works of art and architecture that go back to the Renaissance, Michelangelo and the like. And then using the power of AI, we've knitted all of it together in 3D. So now for the Jubilee, which takes place every 25 years at the Vatican, it will start on Christmas Eve this year. There are going to be these 2 exhibits where people can see this basilica from the top all the way down to what's underneath. Literally, wow. There are Roman ruins and tombs underneath the Vatican. And people can see it online. We're going to have an experience in Minecraft for education. But I think most importantly, it shows how this newest technology that humanity has yet invented can preserve our culture, something that's hundreds of years old, enable us physically to preserve it by identifying where there are cracks, say, in the stone that need to be repaired, but make it available to the world. And I think it's wonderful for the Vatican, but I think even more, it's inspiration for all of us. This technology will do things that humans didn't really dream were possible, but let's use it in ways that actually preserve those things we've always treasured. And I think this particular project is a great example.
I'm hoping to go to that, to the Jubilee year. I'd love to see that. Before I let you go, I have to say that Microsoft is celebrating 50 years in April. Can you pull the curtain back just a little bit and tell us what's next for Microsoft?
Well, the great thing about the company's first 50 years, in my opinion, has been that we always have a long-term vision. You always have to worry about the quarter ahead if you're a public company. But in my 31 years at the company, we've always focused a decade ahead or more. And so we will reach this point in April of next year. Microsoft will be 50 years old. It'll be the year 2025. I think our focus is on the 25 years ahead. It is especially on the role of artificial intelligence. It is the next wave of technology. We're building AI data centers literally around the world. But more than anything, it's what this new era of technology can help us accomplish. That's what we need to be focused on. And if we invest and if we innovate and we partner with communities, whether it's Portland or Seattle or Abu Dhabi or Oslo, you name it, I think that's where we're going to create the kinds of technology that will be truly beneficial. And that's what led somebody like me. I came to Microsoft 31 years ago on what was supposed to be a 2-year leave of absence from a law firm. I overstayed my leave of absence. It's this ability to look forward and hopefully play a role in something that is genuinely beneficial. I think that's what keeps most of us who work at Microsoft and frankly work pretty long hours so excited about doing it.
Well, they're glad you overstayed your welcome. Quick, final, fun question. Former CEO of Microsoft, Steve Ballmer, owns the LA Clippers, and the late co-founder of Microsoft, Paul Allen's sister Jody, is the chair of the Portland Trail Blazers. You're from Milwaukee, home of the Milwaukee Bucks. Who do you root for during the NBA season?
I'm still waiting for a return of the Sonics, but I
Yes.
do root for the Bucks because I am from Wisconsin. I'm definitely a Mariners fan when it comes to baseball, but if you grew up in Wisconsin the way I did, somehow they wire you. You were always a Green Bay Packers fan.
Yep, and former Portland Trailblazer fan favorite Damian Lillard now with the Bucks.
Exactly, yes. No, there's a lot of great connections, and people in Seattle definitely pay more attention to what's happening in Portland in basketball season, even if there's a lot of people in Seattle that are still in mourning about the loss of the Sonics.
Yes, still. Brad Smith, President, Vice Chair of Microsoft, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.